The battle for Shaggy Ridge, fought between October 1943 and January 1944, was a crucial engagement in the New Guinea campaign during World War II. The battle took place along the Finistère Range, a rugged and inhospitable mountainous region in northeastern New Guinea. Australian forces, primarily from the 18th Australian Infantry Brigade, faced off against well-entrenched Japanese defenders from the 78th Infantry Regiment of the 18th Army. The capture of Shaggy Ridge was vital for securing control over the Markham and Ramu valleys and facilitated further Allied advances toward the northern coast of New Guinea. Background and strategic importance. New Guinea was a pivotal battleground in the Pacific War, with its challenging terrain and dense jungles serving as natural defenses. By mid-1943, following victories in the Kokoda Track Campaign and Bunagana Campaign, the Allies had begun a series of operations aimed at isolating the key Japanese stronghold of Madong on the northern coast. Shaggy Ridge, a narrow, towering mountain ridge in the Finistère Range, was a formidable defensive position. The Japanese constructed bunkers and fortifications along its steep slopes, using the natural topography to their advantage. The ridge dominated the surrounding valleys and controlled the main approach to the Japanese supply lines and bases in the region. Thus, its capture was a critical objective for Australian forces in their northward advance. Australian forces and Japanese defenders. The Australian 18th Infantry Brigade, part of Major General George Vassey's 7th Division, was tasked with dislodging the Japanese from Shaggy Ridge. This brigade comprised 2 of 9th Battalion, 2 of 10th Battalion, 2 of 12th Battalion. Supporting units included artillery, engineers, and supply personnel. The attack was coordinated with air support from the Royal Australian Air Force (RAF), which provided vital reconnaissance and bombardment. Opposing them was the Japanese 78th Infantry Regiment, commanded by Major General Majitaro Nakai. The Japanese defenders had been ordered to hold their ground at all costs, and they exploited the natural defenses of Shaggy Ridge, using caves, trenches, and concealed machine gun nests. The battle unfolds. Initial attacks, October-December 1943. The Australian offensive against Shaggy Ridge commenced in October 1943 as part of a broader push along the Ramu Valley. The 2 of 6th Commando Squadron launched preliminary attacks against Japanese outposts in the surrounding areas, disrupting enemy supply lines and gathering intelligence on enemy positions. Throughout November and December 1943, Australian forces probed Japanese defenses, capturing key locations such as Green Sniper's Pimple and McCoy's Knoll. These attacks weakened Japanese strongpoints and paved the way for a full-scale assault on Shaggy Ridge itself. The main assault, January 1944. On January 19, 1944, the 2/9th Battalion led the main attack, supported by elements of the 2/10th and 2/12th Battalions. The offensive was characterized by steep, treacherous terrain, making movements slow and exhausting. Close-quarters combat as soldiers fought hand-to-hand in confined spaces. Heavy artillery and mortar bombardment, which pounded Japanese positions before infantry advances. Coordinated air support, softening enemy defenses ahead of ground assaults. A key moment in the battle occurred when Australian troops launched a daring charge up the steep slopes of the Pimple, a heavily fortified Japanese position. After intense fighting, the Australians successfully stormed the ridge, forcing the Japanese to retreat to the northern spur. Final victory. By January 24, 1944, Shaggy Ridge was entirely in Australian hands. The remnants of the Japanese force withdrew towards Kankirio Saddle, pursued by Australian troops. The loss of Shaggy Ridge severely weakened Japanese defensive positions in the region and hastened the overall Allied advance towards Madong, which fell in April 1944. Aftermath and significance. Casualties and impact. The battle was costly for both sides. Australia, over 250 casualties including killed and wounded. Japan, hundreds killed with many more wounded or taken prisoner. Despite the difficult conditions and determined Japanese resistance, the battle for Shaggy Ridge showcased the resilience and combat effectiveness of Australian forces. The victory secured a strategic corridor through the Finistère Range and facilitated the larger campaign to liberate northern New Guinea from Japanese control. Legacy. Shaggy Ridge remains one of the most significant battles fought by Australian troops in New Guinea. Today, it is recognized as a symbol of Australian bravery and determination in the face of extreme adversity. The site is a historical landmark, visited by military historians and trekking enthusiasts interested in World War II history. The battle for Shaggy Ridge was a crucial engagement in the Pacific War, demonstrating the importance of terrain, strategy, and perseverance. The successful capture of this formidable position marked another step in the broader Allied campaign to reclaim the Pacific from Japanese occupation. Through their tenacity and skill, Australian forces overcame daunting challenges, securing an important victory that contributed to the eventual defeat of Japan in New Guinea.